So, Jack got buffed, and just like Medea, the other character in the game that got their MP buffs like borked, they decided they're not gonna buff the MP again, and they're gonna buff a skill to the point that it's almost on the level of an MP buff. Now, for Jack specifically, so much of her damage was one turn, and very frustrating to deal with, especially because Karma came out, MHX got buffed out the fucking ass to the point that like literally everything she has is buffed. And with this recent buff, Jack is now consistently with MHX before MHX gets any kind of mods. Now, Jack, unfortunately, the way they buffed her MP was not something that was gonna last. We're gonna see that later, but like they made mistakes making this character, even though the one thing they actually couldn't adjust, or not easily, or they're very reluctant to do it, is changing the base stats. That is something Jack never had a problem with. Yes, attack is on the average. It's not super high, but assassins aren't known for high attack in the first place. And then when you look at her base stats, 107% MP charge with 5 hit quicks and a 2 hit arts card. She has 4 cards that can gen MP, and these are some of the best in the entire game. You really, really want this base number as high as possible because it means any MP gain buffs gets you more mileage. So Jack getting the buff she did just means she's able to spam her MP way, way, way more than she was before. Her damage is going to be more consistent. I honestly want to say your survivability might go up or down depending. Uh, yeah, because like usually the first turn of a fight, the boss isn't gonna hit you like super super hard, but again, it's just gonna have to depend. Yeah, worst thing upstairs is her extra attack. This is the weakest part of Jack's kit. Now you could say the arts card, but honestly, her quick cards function better than arts cards. If you can do a mighty chain, I would still put the quick card at the end over the arts card. Uh, yeah, that's just gonna like 5 hit quicks with this base game. This arts card really it is gonna be good for refund, but like trust me, these are arts cards that gen stars. Okay, so here is the buff. Before it was a one turn quick buff, 50%. So mana burst, it was a mana burst with a dodge tied to it. That's why this was on a 6 cooldown in the first place. And these two together, it's almost never been that good of a thing. Now, usually when they buff this, they either make something here 3 turns and then make this 3 times 3 turns, or they do times 3 turns on this and like give other extensions to dodge. But that's not what happened. They buffed this a la, I believe, Arthur, and I think King Hassan got a buff like this too. They turned her 1 turn 50 to a 3 turn. They do not do this often. There is like 5 characters that I know off the top of my head that actually do something like this. Like give like 3 turn like hard buff of this high level, and usually there is either a hit count restriction or it was buffed that way. They don't usually release this a 3 turn card buff like on release. Now I'm saying that, and then you, Olga, in one of her forms is able to do that, but that's also not just it's not the snare 50. It's like AOE and single target. But this is still card buff, a 50 card buff on one skill. Added onto it, 20% MP damage for 3 turns. This is to make up for the fact that her MP has scuff scaling, but this is not enough. especially if you use Black Rail, this really is not enough to make up for the fact that your base number is lower. And just like here, if this base number is lower, any buffs you get to gain is lower. You buff the MP damage. If the MP damage is lower than it should be, and you do less damage. Doesn't matter how much you multiply. When there is an actual cap for how high your buffs can go, you need to stop worrying about your buffs and you need to worry about your base stats. Because increasing your buffs 50% doesn't get you as much mileage as increasing your base number 50%. It's part of the reason MP5 is such a big deal, but after MP3, it's not nearly as big a deal. It's like MP5 compared to MP1 is big, but MP3 compared to MP5 is not as big. Last part of the skill, they added her gave her a 30 battery. For me, this is just Jack starts off faster, and you don't have to use both Scotty batteries for Jack. In turns that she doesn't get good carding, you're able to push an MP again, and then you just have to wait for a turn with carding. It's like Jack's cards give her so much that like you pretty much have to get screwed on carding for you not to be spamming the MP. And again, especially with this, you shouldn't be worried. Now, the rest of these skills, not great. And it's telling that I still want the MP buff over these skills. This one, not so bad though. Full buff strip for one enemy and reduces their crit attack chance. Honestly, I kind of forgot that this skill was here. I thought it was something worse. Yeah, no, this does not need a buff. Jack as a DPS having a buff strip, like full buff strip too, not even like one buff, which is surprising, but also not, because this is Jack off Apocrypha, who, like, if you didn't watch APOC, Jack's information erasure was like absolute. Like, she literally like came in, tried to stab someone, pieced out, and then no one remembered what she looked like. That is some serious, like, next level assassin stuff. That is Assassin Creed. Jack pulled some Assassin Creed shit and APOC, and I'm only just really realizing that now. Yeah, this skill not too bad. And again, if it's between this and her MP, I would take her MP any day of the week. This is a very light heal, but at the same time, she's quick. It's not like Jack has many other options to heal, but this is still like a really weak heal. If it wasn't for this low cooldown, like, this probably would have need to be buffed, but it's whatever. We have servants with even less functional skills, and then we have servants that don't even use a skill, like Melisyn, and she's still as good as other DPSs. So, like, Jack, but buff this later, give her, like, crit damage on here. I don't know. Yeah, no, sure. Buff this skill and give it crit damage. Sure, why not? Like, she could use it. But it's like, it's not something that needs to happen right now. Her MP is a much bigger issue. So, 10.5% star gen. Mana loading because of this battery now. I would definitely recommend this. You don't need it, but it will just help save batteries for when you need it. Atalanta. This is very clearly for Atalanta. Skill reloading, like, honestly, like, this is one of the few cases where, like, I'm gonna choose, like, I usually choose, like, literally everything but these two, but, like, it's like you don't really do cooldown reduction with Jack. Like, yes, this helps have good uptime, especially with the first skill getting buffed. This would be on a 5-turn, but you don't do cooldown reduction normally with quick. So I'm just... Oh, well, you can swap anyway, but, like, obviously I'm going to recommend this one, and honestly extra attack over Append right now. If you have MP2, just go to Bond 11, and then you get 3 appends. Yeah, moving on. But here's the MP. Main effect is that it's defense pierce, and you get a power mod. You get a power mod against females. You get 50% crit damage to females. That's the issue people have with Jack. This does not scale well. It just doesn't. Not in the current landscape. You have Carmilla hitting super effective. Why is Jack hitting power mod? Now, here's the fucking problem with them actually doing that. Jack doesn't have crit inner kit, and the way this overcharge scales, it goes up to 100. So it's like not like this is a bad thing entirely, but it's just not good for the way the game goes currently. Like Jack has been so neglected that this using her like this is just like you're not doing it. You can't reach the higher levels of overcharge with only MP1 Jack unless you're playing specifically for overcharge, and in which case, like if you want to put other MPs before it, you won't get the power mod for any of the face cards, and that's why you want a power mod instead of super effective, because you're trying to use your cards, but you can't get higher levels. Like, you see that like there's a problem with how this flows, and that Jack is almost never going to be able to get this overcharge, so her her card damage is going to be suffering. Or no, not suffering. That's the wrong word. It's going to be inconsistent, because you'd want to get higher levels of overcharge, but you wouldn't be able to take advantage of it outside of bringing other supports that can force the overcharge. In which case, you're bringing supports to give you 25% crit damage for 1 turn. Why would you not just bring something that gives you more crit damage for 3 turns? Like, the defense pierce being like the passive effect is nice, and this activating first, again, nice. It's good that she at least has something, but this MP buff was so short-sighted. It ruined it, not ruined, but like it messed up this character for literally like 9+ years. If they had waited like probably 2 months, no, sorry, 2 years, they probably would have gotten a better MP buff than this. And again, going back to this, 1400. This is 1200. This is not normal scaling. MP2 is supposed to become MP1. Like, if it was only the fact that they chose a power mod instead of super effective, I wouldn't be having a problem, because they did show that super effective was a thing back in the day. Carmilla had it. It wasn't that super effective wasn't a thing. It's that the lack of buffs made it so a power mod looked the same as super effective. Year 1 design. But yeah, super effective was a thing back in the day. It just wasn't that good. They had to like Carmilla's buff is what probably didn't make the standard. 8. Year 3. This is after first anniversary is 2006, 16, 17. So this is in the between second anniversary and third. That the super effective scaling pretty much got solidified at 150. But on release, it was 120. So, yeah, no, in the context of year 1, this makes sense. It does make sense, because if Jack's power mod is so much better than just 20% super effective, it is. But back then, the damage scaling was so low that like I don't like shitting on characters that don't deserve it. And Jack gets a lot of shit she doesn't deserve, and it's like it was a very it's probably one of the shittiest buffs they ever did in year one. This hands down has to be the shittiest buff they ever did in year one. And it's not because of like other characters didn't get shafted. It's that they waited this long for it. Medea's the only one that kind of got shafted even more because like she was Jack before at least did damage. Her face cards at least did damage. Medea, you were pretty much only bringing her for an instant buff strip. In which case, Jack could do that same fucking thing on a skill. 25% crit damage while she's on the field. You're not gonna use. You're not gonna choose this. You're not gonna choose this over just getting 50. If you choose 50, you instantly start the. You instantly MP with Jack for a Grand Assassin. So TLDR, thank you for finally buffing Jack after almost 10 years. Please fix her NP, and hopefully it doesn't take another 10 years. Because by then, that NP buff better be so fucking broken, you don't even fix the scaling, you give her a second NP buff worth of scaling. Because Jack, despite everything, is a very popular character for what she did for APOC. Now, she has fans. I'm not one of those fans. Trust me. But Jack deserves better. And I would use her more if she had a fucking Christmas sweater and like nothing here to her knees. You couldn't see shit. And it was just I see kids that dress like that for like Christmas parties, and it's adorable. Make Jack adorable. Don't appeal to her fans. Those fans. Please. Thank you. You already have Kuro for that. Goodbye. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like or sub. Hope to see you in the next one. Peace.